what is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot. It is 1:30 in the afternoon, and today is NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4. And wow, man, it's SummerSlam weekend. It's here. It's the most, my personal opinion, this rivals Christmas with like the top 2 weekends here in New York City. But we're here, and the time has finally come. It's time to officially kick off all of the festivities if you haven't done so already. And tonight's going to be awesome, man. I am stoked. I'm really, really excited about it. But for me, SummerSlam weekend actually kicked off yesterday as myself and the wife. One of the cool things here about being here in New York City is not only is this a big wrestling weekend, but this is also a big weekend for all things you know, restaurants, because this is actually New York Restaurant Week. So one of the cool things, one of the kind of the new kind of traditions that we've made is we always go down to Delmonico's Steakhouse. So this is the official, this is not the Watchalong Wrestling Podcast. This is the Brunch with TOTS. It's supposed to be the Breakfast with TOTS. But, you know, things happen. Life gets in the way. So we got a little delayed, but we're off to a good start. And last night when I went down to Delmonico's Steakhouse, the first original steakhouse here in, it's first original restaurant here in New York City. So we had a lot of fun with that. That was awesome. And then went down to go see Dolph Ziggler and friends do comedy over at Caroline's on Broadway. A lot of fun. If they continue to do these specials, Renee Young was there. The Iconics made an appearance. Excuse me. Ty Dillinger made an appearance. Tyler Breeze was there. A host of others. It was a really cool time, and it just looked like they were having a blast. And a lot of fun, man. It was a great way to kind of kick things off for all things SummerSlam. And I've always been a big fan of that type stuff. If you guys listen to the Watchalong Wrestling Podcast, you know that I always try to go someplace that's a little different from the usual, you know, wrestling show. Because I feel like you burn yourself out that way. But hype pieces like previews like this, hopefully, or different types of conference calls, different types of there's a lot of really great hype pieces on the WWE's YouTube channel. I actually went and commented on the Samoa Joe Chronicle. A lot of people like what I had to say there. Some people didn't like what I had to say there. But it is what it is. So, you know, hopefully you guys are getting excited for SummerSlam. Hopefully you guys are getting some grub in your belly right now. That's why we're here for the brunch. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., will be Breakfast with Tots. And I promise we'll get up for breakfast tomorrow and be ready to go for that. That's going to be 11 a.m., and we're going to be rolling through every single match for SummerSlam. Check us out on the live chat. Leave your thoughts as to what you can expect, you know, going into all the different pieces about SummerSlam 2018. And we'll read some of your comments on the air. The chat is now live, so if anyone is doing their thing, make sure you come say hello, and we'll be able to talk about it here on the air. So NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4, it's amazing. This is the 4th year in which they've done NXT Takeover Brooklyn. Remains to be seen kind of where they're at. Obviously, I think that there is going to be an NXT Takeover Brooklyn 5, but that will be as a part of WrestleMania weekend, the day before WrestleMania, which is coming here to New York City, WrestleMania 35, I guess it is. And so this has kind of been a nice little run here for NXT. NXT Takeover Brooklyn never really disappoints. They had the first one, which we actually covered on the Watchalong Wrestling Podcast. If you got a chance, go check that out. It's a lot of fun, and we had a great time with it. So if you got a chance, go check that out. But that obviously had the great Bayley and Sasha Banks match. They had a great match between Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. It was a ladder match for the NXT title. Jushin Thunder Liger, just a stacked show. The year after that, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I'll always remember the debut of the No Way Jose conga line at the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2016. So that was fun, and yeah, it was really cool. And I think a lot of folks get into that. A lot of people love NXT, and tonight's show is no different. I mean, tonight's show really is, it's a who's who of the show. It's a who's who of people who are going to be excited to be there. And really, you know, your ultimate wrestling card, kind of your dream match card. If you could have designed this card a couple years ago when this was when you know folks were on the indies and these guys were still kind of in Ring of Honor and doing their thing, indie wrestling fans would have been going nuts. And the IWC, if you will, Internet Wrestling Community, which is the silliest name. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of people who are currently on the internet, so I hate that term. But you know, good times nonetheless, and we're having a good time. And tonight's show, though, really stacked top to bottom, front to start. And we're going to get into the entire show. But one thing to remember, one thing to always kind of keep in mind here is this show tonight goes on the air at 7 o'clock, which is an hour earlier than it usually goes on the air. So it's important to remember that. It's important to see kind of what goes on with it, and also to see that you're there and ready to go for it. And if you're actually going to get to the arena tonight, remember that doors open at 4:45. Remember that Barclays Center does a ton of security checks. Everyone's got to go through a metal detector. They're working hard to make sure it's a safe environment, and you can't blame them or hate on them for that. So, but do keep in mind, get there a little early so that you can make sure you're in your seat, you have your souvenirs, all that prior. And hey, if you're going to be in town around 3, 4 o'clock, swing on over to the Buffalo Wild Wings and find us and say hello, because we'll be in town. It's going to be fun, man. So Buffalo Wild Wings right across the street in the part of the Atlantic Mall, and a great way to kick off your time to go and hang out at NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam. And there's always a lot of wrestling fans there who are just jam-packed. They're stoked. People are starting chants while you're eating lunch. It's fun time. So go check that out. But if you are getting to the arena, show actually begins at 6:15. Now, this will not be the original. This won't be the actual TakeOver Brooklyn for pre-show, as much as this is going to be kind of live matches that are going to be recorded for next week's NXT. And while there haven't been too much that have been announced, there has been a WWE UK title match, which I'm stoked for. The British Strong Style, representing as Pete Dunne, is going to be defending the WWE UK Championship. I believe it's a title match against Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson won the UK tournament just a couple of months ago and challenged Pete Dunne on the second night of that tournament coverage, which was on the WWE Network. And that was a great match. Zach Gibson is awesome. The guy generates tons and tons of heat, part of the Grizzled Young Vets over in Progress Wrestling, which I just saw. Just saw these guys just a couple weeks ago, if you remember, over at La Boom nightclub here in Queens. So I got to be a part of the Progress show. That was a lot of fun. It was cool to be there live and talk with some fellow fans about how excited everyone was. And that was kind of like your precursor to NXT TakeOver, because not only was Pete Dunne on that show, but former NXT Tag Champs Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate were on the show. Those three guys were main eventing that Progress show, and afterwards Trent Seven, Tyler Bate vowed to take back the NXT Tag Team Championships, as they'll be going up against the Undisputed Era. So before we get into our predictions of all the matches, let's just break everything down. So we said 6:15. If you're into a good little match and you're into kind of getting the biggest bang for your buck, pace to get there early. Pete Dunne will be defending the UK Championship against Zach Gibson. Then the show proper kicks off at 7 o'clock. NXT Women's Championship, Shayna Baszler goes up against Kairi Sane, the winner of the original Mae Young Classic tournament just last year. You also have the NXT North American Championship on the line as Adam Cole takes on Ricochet. Then you have the Velveteen Dream taking on EC3. And then kind of what's become the show stealer for all things NXT, the Tag Team Championships, the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defending those titles against Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. And then the main event, last man standing match. And of course, you guys don't know, this was supposed to be a triple threat match, but obviously with the injury to Aleister Black, that didn't happen. So that can't happen, obviously. So instead, it's going to be last man standing match, Johnny Gargano going up against Tommaso Ciampa, and that match should be friggin' awesome. All those matches should be awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun. So let's break down our thoughts of each match, starting with, obviously, I guess, the pre-show match. NXT UK champion, I guess it's NXT UK champion now, and that match is going to be going on. It's going to be Zach Gibson challenging for the UK championship there, and against Pete Dunne, and I think that match is going to be great. I do expect Pete Dunne's going to retain that title. I expect Pete Dunne to continue to retain that title kind of until NXT UK takes over, and I'd be surprised to see a title change kind of on the pre-show matches, even though it's taped for television. Usually those pre-show matches that are before the Brooklyn show are usually just there to amp people up, get people excited. Last year, I think it was last year or the year before, they had Elias in there. He had just lost his he had a couple of matches there on the pre-show. They had, obviously, Enzo and Cass, when those guys were friggin' running the show and getting people super behind them. They were on the pre-show. So this just tended to get people excited, get people into what to expect from the actual show, and get people pumped. So I doubt that Pete Dunne is going to lose that title, but again, I expect it to be a solid match. I expect the women's match is going to be kicking off the show. Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. If you guys didn't see the finals of the original Mae Young Classic, that was this match, and this was when Shayna was still, very green, just getting started, kind of doing her thing, and if you kind of take a look and think about that for a second, she's been able to just improve from there. She's done a great job as women's champ. Now Kairi Sane is back in the fold, a rematch of that Mae Young championship. And I actually see a title change here. I think Kairi is going to win the championship. That would mean she'd go up to 2-0 on Shayna Baszler, but A, I think there's a chance Shayna Baszler shows up at SummerSlam. And B, I think they want to kind of build up the importance of the Mae Young Classic as they get into the second tournament. Obviously, they've taped that already, but that's going to start to unveil within the coming weeks. So what better way to do that than to say, hey, the original Mae Young Classic winner is now currently the NXT Women's Champion. So I do expect that to be the way that they do things. And so I'm expecting that Kairi Sane is going to win the NXT Women's Championship. And I expect good things. I feel like Shayna Baszler every single time out, she does really well. Obviously, the other 4 horsewomen from the MMA are currently now down training in NXT, and it seems like from all accounts from the Triple H conference call, those guys are just continuing to improve every single time. And when I feel like if you're in MMA for the most part, if you're making that transition into professional wrestling, it seems like it's just a natural transition, and it seems like these guys continue to rock and do their thing, and that's awesome. So I expect, though, a great match tonight, and I do expect brand new NXT Women's Champion. Next up, you got King Ricochet. I don't know if he's King Ricochet or just regular Ricochet going for the North American Championship against Adam Cole. This is the match 1 of 4 or 5 that I'm just stoked as all hell for. I don't know if it'll be match of the night, but it certainly looks like match of the night, match of the weekend maybe on paper. So these guys are going to get a ton of time. It is for the North American Championship. 1 year after the Undisputed Era made their debut at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn last year. Stupid decision on my part. I had tickets for the show. It was a buddy's birthday. He asked me to sell them, and I did. So it's the one TakeOver Brooklyn I did not make it to, and it was an awesome show. And I missed the debut of Adam Cole. So tonight I will be there in attendance at Adam Cole defending the championship against Ricochet. This one I don't see a title change here. Adam Cole has been incredible. The Undisputed Era has been incredible, and I expect that Adam Cole is going to keep the belt there. Ricochet's had a lot of wins under his belt already and has kind of jumped the ranks through NXT. I expect that this is not going to hurt him, this loss. I feel like wins and losses in NXT sometimes don't hurt people as much as they do like on the main roster, so to speak, because all of the matches are really competitive. So if you lose a really tough, hard-fought match, a lot of times you come out of that match getting a big cheer and kind of figuring things out as to where they go from there. So again, I think Adam Cole retains. However, I think that match is going to steal the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So very, very cool there. All right, moving things along there. The Velveteen Dream, as I've been mentioning for weeks on the Watchalong Wrestling Podcast, I'm just so stoked to see the Velveteen Dream do his thing, be a part of the show, and be able to see him live. He's a guy that I followed for a while as Patrick Clark. He did some stuff for Maryland Championship Wrestling, and then obviously was a big part of Tough Enough. And I thought, I've been a fan of his since then, and I feel like the Velveteen Dream is the future. I think he's going to do just an awesome job, and fun to see him live against EC3 top 2%, and it's top 1%, top 2%, top 1%. That's going to be fun to see him live as well. Those guys are going to be tearing it down. Good for EC3. Kind of a homecoming here for him. Obviously coming back to NXT, and obviously making a name for himself more so on TNA. So it's cool to see him continuing to do great things. This match, though, I really want to see the Velveteen Dream get the win here. For me, he hasn't gotten too many wins. He's had a lot of great performances, but he really hasn't had too many wins. So Velveteen Dream needs a W in this one, in my opinion. I think Velveteen Dream needs to get the win over EC3. It's tough because EC3 is still also relatively new, but if you want to do something cool, I think you give Velveteen Dream the W. He's had great matches right and left. He's been getting nothing but praise, but give him a win. I think it would really benefit him, and it would be a lot of fun. So we'll see from there. Then moving right along, and again, NXT, you got to give them credit. It's we're already 3 matches deep on this show. There's only 5 matches on the show, and this is supposed to be a 2.5 to 3 hour show. So you'll be out of there probably by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So can't get to get some grub beforehand. Hang out, have a good evening, have some fun before SummerSlam tomorrow. But one of the things that's always cool about NXT is everything gets time to develop. Everything is means something on the show, and people will be into and excited about. So moving right along, tag team title match. Mustache Mountain going for the tag titles against the Undisputed Era. These guys have absolutely torn the house down on the UK special that they did during the UK tournament. And then again on NXT television, they kind of flipped and flopped and moved the tag titles back and forth. I think they can go one of two ways with this. One, you can give Mustache Mountain the titles back, and you can kind of build up NXT UK as these three guys here. You have Pete Dunne as your NXT UK champion. Then you have Trent Seven and Tyler Bate as your NXT tag champs going into the UK launch there for NXT, which, you know, that's pretty awesome. You start things off there. And British Strong Style is an awesome heel act, so you could easily flip them heel as like the top dogs and people kind of going after them. And I think that may be the way they should go. But I, for some reason, just don't see a title change here. Undisputed Era always finds a way to kind of win and hold on to the titles, and I expect them to do the same tonight. But again, that match, it's the only 5-star match that a match on any sort of WWE television has been given by Dave Meltzer there. Meltzer gave it 5 stars, the rematch that was on NXT TV. And if you have not seen it, it's a great way to get yourself hyped, get yourself excited. You get to the arena early today, and you got a million fans out there chanting Rusev Day and whatever else, and you want to get amped with your buddies, pull out your phone, watch that match from NXT television when Undisputed Era won the tag titles back against Mustache Mountain. Really good stuff. And tonight is the kind of the rubber match there. And personally speaking, the match in the UK when Mustache Mountain won the titles was also incredible. They got a pop, the pop you hadn't heard anything like when they were in Royal Albert Hall there. So make sure you go and check that out. And yeah, it's good stuff. So I can't wait for that match tonight. It's the match personally I'm looking most forward to, and I'm pumped for it. So we'll see where it goes. So again, I think the Undisputed Era keeps the belts, but I don't think you can go wrong with either team winning. There's a lot of, you know, you can continue to build the Undisputed Era up as like this cog that has all the titles, or you could continue to build up a match in which, pause for the cause. There you go. You can kind of continue to build up things in which the Undisputed Era, you know, British Strong Style wins that and then kind of goes to the NXT UK holding all the tag titles, holding all the titles, rather. Okay, moving right along. Let's get into what it's going to be in terms of the main event tonight. Tommaso Ciampa against Johnny Gargano. These guys have had 2 incredible wars. Really, every match they've had. I even thought their match during the Cruiserweight Classic was phenomenal. These guys are just so freaking great in the ring. I'm excited to be there for one of their matches live. The last NXT show I was at was over in Philly earlier this year. As part of one of my bachelor parties, actually. So how cool is that? Did a thing, though, and tonight I returned to go see Johnny Gargano again in a main event, this time against Tommaso Ciampa. Myself and the guys are super stoked to see this match. This is probably the one we're looking most forward to. The last man standing, you know, I've seen some people on there. I want to say maybe Ryan Satin with Pro Wrestling Sheet suggested they do, might have been him, might have been someone else, suggested they do a draw just to kind of continue to build up. I hope they don't do that. Last man standing, I feel like this should be the end of the feud. And I know they want to kind of keep it going, excuse me, and add some layers there with Aleister Black being in the mix. But it just didn't work out. And so instead, they've kind of had to jump to the final act here. And I do expect this to be the final act. It should be the final act. It's the big show for NXT. You know, I don't know why, but I really think Johnny Gargano might win the title tonight, which is nutty because I think Ciampa, there's a lot more to kind of tell with him as the champ. But Johnny Gargano, the ultimate underdog, it kind of makes sense for him at the end of this feud to get the win, to be the one to kind of take out Ciampa. And the only real way to do that is for him to win the rubber match and to him to win that last man standing match. And so I expect Gargano's going to win the title tonight. So I think you're going to see yourself a new NXT Women's Champ. I think you're also going to see yourself a new NXT World Champ. So it should be a great show. Again, let's kind of just break every single thing down here. We got Pete Dunne going up against Zach Gibson before the show starts for the live crowd and for NXT TV tapings next week. I do expect Pete Dunne to retain. Then on the main show, Women's Championship, Kairi Sane going for the women's title against Shayna Baszler. I expect Shayna Baszler to win that match. I'm sorry, Kairi Sane to win that match and win the Women's Championship. Then from there, you've got North American Champion Adam Cole going up against Ricochet. Nothing like a seltzer to get your day going, huh? Gets kind of that bubbly in there with, you know, at the same time providing you with no calories, so it's good stuff. Great drink. Anyway, I don't expect Ricochet to win the title here. I think Adam Cole retains. Then EC3 goes up. And by the way, that's the match order I think the way it's going to go. I could be completely off there, though. Could easily see EC3 and Velveteen Dream going to be winning, start kicking off the show. Who knows? So I think that the Velveteen Dream, though, is going to get the win here. He needs a win. I mean, he loses every freaking time out. So I did say earlier that wins and losses don't mean as much in NXT, but let's get my boy a W, shouldn't we? Can't we? Come on. In any event, then we got the main event, Johnny Gargano versus tag title match. I do think the Undisputed Era is going to retain against Mustache Mountain. And then the main event, I do think you're going to be seeing brand new NXT World Champion in Johnny Gargano. But you could also see a deal where, and this one I know came, this idea came from Ryan Satin, where maybe Tommaso Ciampa wins the match, and then you hear, bro. And what better way to end the show than with the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, showing up there at the end of the show. I personally thought they should have held off. They shouldn't have made any announcement about Aleister Black until the show kicked off, and they should have done a deal where it was, Aleister Black can't make it, and so we needed replacements to be a triple threat, and you had Matt Riddle show up, win the title, and in his first match in NXT, beat both Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. But I'm a huge Matt Riddle guy, so I'm hoping he shows up tonight. Should be awesome. I know he had a big match last night, lost to New York. Unfortunately, due to some husbanding duties, I was unable to attend that. It would have been a tough sell to say, hey, babe, I know we're going to the Dolph Ziggler comedy thing tonight, but instead of Delmonico's, let's go see Lost in New York first and then go to Dolph Ziggler. Probably wouldn't have gotten over as well. So grateful to be a husband, and sometimes things just, you can't do anything. But I heard the match was great. I heard the entire show was great. Love Joey Janela and the stuff that he does, and his shows are phenomenal, and does a great job. But I know Matt Riddle's on that show. It'd be great to see him. So he's in town, and a lot of people anticipate seeing him tonight, and I hope we do. So in any event, that, and then the main event, I think you are going to see a new champ, Johnny Gargano, crowned tonight. Heard it here first. Johnny Gargano wins the NXT World Championship tonight at NXT Brooklyn. So that is going to do it for me tonight. Well, for right now, because we're going to be back. We're going to be back on Twitter. We're going to be back on YouTube. Follow us at Watch WrestlePod. Follow me at Tommy on the Spot. We're going to be checking in tonight. It's guys' night, man. We're going down NXT guys' night, having a good time. We're going to have a blast. We're going to be there for the show, and make sure you guys check it out. So in any event, keep logging yourself on here, and I really do appreciate it. If you hit subscribe, leave a couple comments in the comment section below. I will get back to you at some point. I love interacting with you guys. Threw a couple Follow Fridays out yesterday just to kind of give a thank you to those folks who have been helping to spread the word as we get things moving here. And it's a big weekend, so let's have some fun, man, all right? Until next time, everybody. And remember, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock a.m., your official SummerSlam preview. Come join us. We got 13 matches. Let's get hyped together. Let's join the fun that is SummerSlam. You're looking for something to do in the morning. You wake up. There's nothing really getting you going. Come join us right here. Breakfast with Tots. Have some pancakes. Make some bagels. Fry some eggs. Hell, if you're in New York City and you're in for the show, I mean, you can take an egg. You can just go fry it right on the street. It's about 100 degrees. And let's have fun tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Be there for Breakfast with Tots, SummerSlam preview show. And until then, keep it locked in. I promise you, we might show up at the Barclays Center with a live video. Might be a little post video about the show after at the Barclays Center. So be there for that. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to continue to chat with you guys. If you're going to the show tonight, have so much fun. If you do see us walking around, stop by, say hello, do your thing, and we'll see y'all real soon. Until next time, everybody, this has been Tommy on the Spot, and enjoy NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4.